and all this other stuff and the silence that comes with that or whatever it was. And so it was like, we kind of joked. It was like, well, maybe you just send me a $1 check and then I'll just have a $1 check from a game publisher on my wall forever and just go like, this was a fucking really weird time in my life and point at this check.
This is how much it cost to buy me out at that time.
Full on $1. But then the game showed up and it was fucking completely broken and it ended up just not happening at all. So I ended up not actually doing it.
Unmock reviewable.
And the whole thing fell apart. Yeah, that's...
Well, you could mock it.
I could mock it. I could absolutely 100% mock it. And yeah, so the whole thing fell through, which ultimately is for the best. But I still find the process really fascinating. So since then, I have kind of found people who have done that sort of thing and kind of grilled them a little bit about it. But yeah, I mean, imagine, we don't use freelancers here. We have in the past, but it's not something, it's the nature of this site. If you just see random stories with a dude you never heard of, I mean, the audience out there is going to be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it's not really, doesn't really fit with
comes with a lot of baggage too,
yeah.
Because, the way people are, like I was introduced in the site is like you get something that happens gradually and it's like,
yeah,
people are vetted. It's much harder to do with a freelancer, especially when they're off doing a lot of stories for lots of different places.
Yeah, exactly. If they're writing for a ton of different places, they're not appearing in video, like that sort of thing. It becomes very difficult for a site like ours. So we don't
standards are different at every outlet.
We don't really use freelancers here. But if I was hiring freelancers in the past at GameSpot when I was running reviews, like I most certainly did, like you got to vet those guys, especially in this day and age when there are opportunities like that out there for them. Like I would never hire someone who was currently doing mock reviews, and if they had been doing them and stopped, it's like you have to really look into that and go like, okay, is there a conflict of interest here that we need to address? Do we need to come out and say like this author was doing this? And at what point does the appearance of impropriety on something like that outweigh your desire to use that writer, especially when there are so many different freelancers out there to choose from?
Probably like as soon as you find out about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
why would you?
Yeah. So yeah, it's just not worth it.
Are we just
for someone like in an assigning editor position like myself? It would never be worth it to work with someone who was doing that sort of thing.
Just to clarify, are we assuming that's the sort of consulting we were talking about in this case, or did that ever even come to light?
This all kind of got roped into it along the way. I mean, like I said,
it was listed like in her resume. The girl that was, with the Square Enix was listed as freelance work, and then it listed a bunch of just game outlets like, Eurogamer, MCV, and then it just said Square Enix. And then people, as it started to turn into kind of a witch hunt because she handled it poorly by locking down her Twitter and, not just taking her lumps and trying to act like she was being naive. And then, they found her like account on Gaff, and it was like all Tomb Raider related.
To be fair, I think there was some component of the kind of typical misogynistic rage that goes along with a lot of this stuff, which may have necessitated the Twitter thing. I don't know for sure, but I did read that.
Fucking internet.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those things where we deal with a lot of inside baseball and a lot of audio and video content on this site, and when this stuff first started happening, I was like, oh, more of this, but we've already talked a lot of this stuff to death. So I don't know that we need to go back and do it, but as it's kind of picked up steam, it's like, it's worth repeating.
But it's also nice, and the thing that I wrote and worth reading is that because of especially because of how Giant Bomb works, because of Twitter, you can get to know writers really, really well. You can ask them questions, you can ask them about their own standards, their policies, and a lot of what we can do on this site and through social media is build trust. And so it's like you can. Just like we can not pick up a freelancer at the drop of a hat, if that's even what we did, you can drop a writer and go follow someone else at the drop of a hat too. And that's what you should do. Like you just vet the people that because at the end of the day, there are a lot of weird gray areas in what we do. Yeah. Like in the enthusiast press specifically, there are weird gray areas, and I think we try to be as present about those and as transparent about that as possible. Yeah, but there is a certain level of just you just got to just trust that we're doing the right thing to bring you the most honest, best coverage that we can. And if we've somehow broken that trust, and then go somewhere else, but ask the questions. Like if there's something that's bothering you, to ask, because most likely you're going to get one of us to answer it.
It's a business that has the potential to be very dirty, but that doesn't mean it necessarily is very dirty at every level or at every outlet or in every instance.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and it's, you know, as people kind of, this outrage builds around this stuff, and kind of more different aspects of our line of work get roped into it. You see people just saying like, "Oh, they sent T-shirts to this guy, so obviously, you know," or what is it? It's the stupid fucking flag that came with Assassin's Creed, which when it showed up in our office, we made fun of it for being kind of fucked up to modify the American flag.
Here's what happened with the flag. It showed up in the mail. We thought it was fucking stupid. You proposed the idea of burning it on video.
Yeah.
And while that had a certain appeal to it, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I'm not comfortable with any imagery of burning an American flag. Even if it's this crass corporate perversion of it.
Yeah.
The symbolism is still there. So ultimately, we sneered at that thing for 5 minutes and then shoved it under a desk, and I totally forgot we had it until all this stuff came back up.
Right.
So like that is the amount of influence that something like that has. Like it's a waste of their marketing budget and our time.
Stupid shit shows up at this office all the time.
Constantly.
Usually not of that caliber where there's like a marketing executive on the letterhead.
Well,
going,
that
thanks.
guy. Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, like,
thanks for your covers. What the fuck is that about?
Like, again, with like Assassin's Creed 3, like, last Friday, like the limited edition showed up, the giant ass box. Like, Ryan comes in at the end of the day, rips it open, grabs the copy of the game, throws the rest of the box into a corner with the stack of shit we have, and then just left so we could go finish reviewing it. Like, how else are we supposed to handle that?
Not to say that there aren't people out there that, I don't think it should sound as callous and like, nobody wants this stuff.
No, but the thing is
But you want to do your job. You want the game. You want the product.
I think we have a certain level of cynicism, and it's a certain level that's earned because we've been around long enough that we've seen, they're sending us the big crazy edition. Well, I don't need any more statues for my desk. Right. So here, Sarah, you take that. I don't care. I just want the game part of this giant box. Hey, belt buckle. Anyone want a belt buckle? Right. No. Throwing it in the box, putting it in the corner, because there's just this constant, we are this membrane through which all video games pass. And along with those games is usually some some bauble, some trinket, something that...
for Bejeweled, they sent a big plastic fake diamond.
Yeah, remember that? That was dumb.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with that?
Put it in a flag.
Burn it. Put it in a drawer somewhere, and then find it 8 months later and go, why the fuck do I still have this thing?
Yeah.
So we are. Remember when we moved out of the last office?
Oh, God.
The pile of shit they got left behind.
Perry wouldn't even take
it.
Our intern would not take the shit.
Wouldn't even take that shit.
That stupid fucking Skyrim statue.
Yep.
That you said we should get.
I didn't say we should get it.
You were like, should we get this thing? There are no fun statues here.
Yeah.
I said, fine, whatever.
Well, guess what? It's Simon and Schuster's problem.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it came in like 3 separate crates, giant wooden
Assemble
fucking crates next to the desk.
I mean, the time when I feel better about that stuff showing up is when we can turn it into some stupid video, where it's like the time the 3DS got dropped off. It's like, let's invite everybody else into this bizarre world and see exactly what's going on
let's
here.
Let's be straight up with it. This life, it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
This line of work is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because video games are not becoming a smaller business, but in a lot of ways, it's becoming like a slightly more desperate, hit-driven business.
Yeah.
So as a result, you have people kind of like pulling out all the stops and going like, well, it's like with the 3DS. Let's get this train of girls to show up.
But even less that, you also have to take into account the way, and this doesn't apply to us, but applies to a lot of the other way the game sites cover things, is that every time they pull a gimmick, and that's like when you see like these threads with people like posting all these like press kits and like comes all this weird swag, that's potentially a blog post or a Twitter mention. And so a lot of that marketing material is going into just, if we can get one more hit about this game with these people that are influential on consumers, it's like, we throw that to the side because that's not, we don't really do unboxings and things like that. Unless it's like,
honestly, we occasionally do, but they're few and far between.
It's got to be like there's something that's got to make sense for us. It's not like something we do is like a regular piece of coverage, whereas that is a regular piece of coverage for sites, like the Kotakus of the world that are on they need to have posts like every 20 minutes.
Right. We're not doing unboxings. We're not doing unboxings of like limited editions of games.
Yeah. We're doing unboxing of stuff that users are sending us
like
a lot
tasers.
of times. Yeah, like flashlight tasers.
That stuff is the most influential.
And we didn't even do an unboxing of that, and it had a Commodore 64 in that box.
How did we not?
DJ, thank you for sending that box.
How did we not record the stun gun?
Because I opened it after you guys were already gone last night. I was like, this big box is big.
That is frightening.
Scary.
I mean, look, we have been doing this website so raw for so long at this point that I would like to think people are confident we are not feeding them a line of bullshit about anything.
Yeah. But at the same time, you know, like straight
yeah,
up,
like
if
it behooves us to be transparent about stuff when we feel there's something that needs to be disclosed.
And like, just to be straight up about it, like, if you think you can't trust us, go find another website.
Right.
Like, it's you should be asking these sorts of questions of people. And
you should feel like you can trust the sources that you're taking.
And we try to be transparent. And it's weird for, you know, it's put us in. I mean, this is something I spent a whole fucking lot of time thinking about. And, you know, it's like, it's like, are we crossing the line? Or how do people view the site? Like, because we're trying to do more personal coverage. We're trying to talk to people that make the games. We're trying to do interviews that are more than just, so what platform is your game coming out on and when is it out? And as a result, like, we have cultivated this crew of people that you see on the site on a fairly regular basis. Mm-hmm. So from the outside looking in, at a glance, I could see why someone would be like, oh, yeah, well, you guys are real buddy-buddy with these Double Fine guys, huh? Or, oh, these Harmonix dudes keep showing up on stuff. So it's something I'm constantly aware of and constantly thinking about, like, you know, is this too much? You know, like what is the line on that stuff? But at the end of the day, the stuff we do with those people, I think, is really interesting, and you're not finding it anywhere else.
Right.
And it's not just some raw, you know, fucking PR message being shoved down your throat. Like, we are smarter than that.
Right. I always think back to when me and Drew went to Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we disclosed publicly, you know, Blizzard flew us over there. They paid our way.
Yeah.
And also, you know, the guy running PR for StarCraft is somebody we used to work with, which became really handy when I realized that I was fucking obsessed with StarCraft 2 for like 2 years.
Right.
But we would not have gone, I hope people understand that we would not have gone on that trip if I wasn't absolutely fascinated with everything that was happening around StarCraft at that time. And
yeah.
It seemed like it produced some content that people were really into.
And that's the way it's
seen
supposed to
elsewhere.
work when you have
like,
those
I don't want to waste
opportunities.
like almost a week of my life like going through all this hassle of going around the world to look at something that I don't give a shit about.
Yeah, I mean, we turned down, you know, EA had a trip in Germany to go drive Porsches and see Need for Speed.
Yeah.
That was my game of the show out of E3. Like, coming out of E3.
6 weeks ago, yeah.
Coming out of E3, I was like, man, I really want to see some more Most Wanted. I turned it down because, you know, it just, that didn't seem like a good use of our time. Like, flying to Germany to see the game for an hour and then, now let's drive cars. Yeah. Like, no, that's not smart. You people are 20 minutes south of here.
It's just dumb. Like, it's not a good use of resources on their part or our part, and just comes across as like a weird desperate. I mean, like,
but if they get two more, you know, I don't know what the number is, but if they get more articles out of, hey, we drove these Porsches, then at some point it becomes worth it, like a worthwhile expenditure for them,
I guess.
And it's.
I mean, I'm sure they have the metrics, but like it's hard to know from our side because we are constantly just looking at that and hitting, like, reading it out loud to all of us and then laughing at it and then hitting delete.
Yeah,
you know.
But at the same time, like, there's probably like a really interesting video that involves us driving fast cars.
Sure.
That's what we deal with on a regular basis. Is like, what's too much? You know, what can we do while still keeping the bullshit end of this business at arm's length? And it's like, you know, I feel bad in some ways for people that are in public relations because, like, their job is changing dramatically. There are a lot of companies out there where the PR departments are at war with the marketing departments because it's not like you know, if you want to use correct terminology when you're complaining about the way video games work, stop saying like, oh, PR people sending out free copies of these games and paying these people to put up Most Wanted videos. That's a marketing spend.
Yep.
That's a marketing department doing that. And that is marketing going out there and getting coverage of a game.
And marketing is different than PR.
By approaching people that are not journalists and sidestepping that whole thing. Marketing is out there saying, like, why don't we just stop giving all this content to publications and start putting it up on YouTube ourselves? Why don't we cut those people out of the loop? And then at that point, you know, the PR people might be out of a job.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've heard cases time and time again from PR people where the people above them in the chain somehow think that the public relations person's job is to get high review scores. And when those scores don't come in, they are blamed for it.
Yeah, I've heard that story for years.
Which
and
is
it
the
blows my
fucking
mind every time.
craziest shit in the world.
It's like, what did you think was going to happen? Like, they were going to take you out to another dinner and then the score was going to go up?
Right.
Like,
Like, this is not the fucking Wild West.
yeah.